Hey guys, welcome back to Whatever I Cook. In this video, I'm going to show you how my mom makes empanadas de yuca, and it's a classic Puerto Rican dish we have on special occasions, but she's going to teach me and my sister how to make them so we can make them and freeze them whenever. The first part we're going to make is a carne guisada, and it's just basically like a braised or boiled meat, and we're going to dice the pork into really fine small little cubes and pieces. The next preparation will be potato. We're going to dice them in the same fashion into really small little cubes, and the way that my mom does it is a very old school way. I swear, growing up, I did not see my grandma, aunts, or moms use a cutting board. They did everything by hand, just like you see here. Once your meat and vegetables are prepped and diced, you'll want to rinse your protein very well in water and add it all to a pot that is going to be large enough for it to come to a boil, and barely cover the water to the top of the meat. And you let that come to a boil and it will release a bunch of impurities, and you're going to want to skim that off and out of the meat until everything looks nice and clean. And once you get to that point, after it's boiled and released all those impurities, then you can add your potatoes. Once the potatoes are in, let the mixture come up to a simmer for about 10 minutes. You just want the potatoes to get nice and soft and the meat to get cooked through, and basically we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. I turned down the volume to the video because there were a lot of people over, so there's a lot of background noise, and I wanted to test out doing a voiceover to see how this would work when editing a video. Let me know what you think about it, but we'll continue on here. Okay, so the rest of the ingredients we're adding are some green olives, a couple packs of sazon, some adobo. We're going to use some red sofrito, and we're also going to add some tomato sauce, and just turn that down to a very low heat and let that kind of cook and simmer on a low heat while we prepare the masa. And then you let that simmer for how long? Okay. Next we are preparing the yuca. This is a very hard root kind of vegetable, and you just cut the ends off and kind of chop it into big chunks. We kind of cut it in thirds and halves, and then my mom is taking a very sharp knife and kind of wedging it behind the skin and peeling it back. I'm so grateful my mom took the time to teach us this. This is something we've wanted to learn how to make for years, and I'm not gonna lie if I say this part scares me a bit, just because the way she's handling the knife is with such comfort, and I get so distracted with my child that I just don't know how this part will work out. This will probably have to be something my sister and I do on our own time, but yeah, here's just a lot of footage of how she did that. It's just amazing to me. She requested an even smaller knife and then took my sharpener and sharpened that thing so sharp. So again, I am super impressed at how she even does this. I don't know if I would feel comfortable using such a sharp little tiny knife, but I guess we'll find out when I do it myself. Here we're doing a process called Masa de Yuca, and basically you're grating it on the smallest, finest setting of grater that you have, and it basically makes like this mush or paste, and that is the exact consistency that you want. In this part, I was just mentioning that cutting the tubes, the big tubes that we had, in half were easier to grate than the way we had it before, and it was a much quicker process. And then my mom was taking the little tiny pieces that I could not get, and without a glove or no protection, she was just getting those tiny pieces down to nothing. And again, I am just impressed by this woman. But this was my first time trying it. So our masa to start is gonna look like that. We're gonna make a achiote, and it's just basically oil and this achiote powder. So we have to heat up the oil, kind of like, I was asking my mom so many questions and she was getting so annoyed with me. So I only got to making 2 recipes, but yeah, you can hear it in this part where she's just super annoyed with all the questions, and she's like, just wait and see with everything that I was trying to ask her. Yeah, so it's basically gonna color the masa. You're gonna do this whole packet? How much oil do you need heated? To a very small saucepan, you'll want to add about 1/2 cup of vegetable oil and 1 tablespoon of achiote powder is what I noticed she used. She prefers to use annatto seeds, but I didn't know that before then. That is what she prefers to use because it colors it better, and then you'll see what we do with it. This simmered for less than 2 minutes. We just kind of let it bubble, and when you notice the color gets like a rich orange color, then it's pretty much ready. Once the masa is prepared, we're going to start to season it, and basically she's adding 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt, and then stirring that in. Actually, she uses her hands to mix the masa, and once that's all mixed in, then we're going to add the achiote oil, and basically we just took half of that amount, so I think it was about 1/4 cup, and she poured it in while it was still hot, so as you can see, that seems like it's okay. She took a spoon and then mixed that in. Once that is all mixed, we're going to add about 6 ounces of evaporated milk, and then also give that a stir and combine it really well. Here she decided she did not like the color, and so we ended up adding a packet of sazon, which is like the little orange packet typically used to season and color rice or other things in the cuisine. So she ended up adding one of those to give it a little more color. Okay. So you want it to be like orange. We reached my favorite part, and that is closer to the end. So we took some plantain leaves. They come frozen from the Spanish market, and basically we laid them all out and rinsed them very well, and she kind of cut them down to her specified size that she likes. And once she had some rinse, she takes them and puts them on the burner and basically kind of roasts them very carefully in this method. So the aroma from these leaves was just amazing. I might just do this as an incense for my house. I love the way that banana leaves smell, or plantain leaves. It's such a tropical, beautiful aroma. So basically she's just doing she's calling it quemándola, and she's doing like a quick burn or a quick roast on them. This is like a method you would see mamas doing tortillas. This is just a foolproof method to do a quick burn on things, and so that's exactly what she was doing here. And this is just getting us closer to that step of assembly that we're going to start doing. Can you show it to me, like when you're done, the front and the back? Rinse your hojas. No, that's fine. I totally would do that too. This was my absolute favorite part of the process, was preparing the plantain leaves, and I'll just reiterate again that the aroma was amazing, and we just did it right over the stove burner, just as you see here, and she just cut them down into manageable pieces that she could kind of manage with her hands and just kind of swipe them over the burner. You have to be really careful because if you leave them on too long, they just burn right through and just start to, once they catch and get burn going, that just burns right through. So you have to be very careful with this process and be kind of quick with it. So we're gonna have the foil, the banana leaf. This is the masa. And then this is the meat filling. It's the pork meat with potato and olives that we made earlier in the day. So I'll show you how she assembles the first one, and I think I'll let you know how many we end up with this masa. Okay, here she's cutting a piece of aluminum foil to size. I don't know how long of a measurement. I'd say as long as a ruler. And then when you take your plantain leaf, you also have to cut that down to size because you want to make sure it's even with the aluminum foil. And once that's down, you want to make sure to coat the banana leaf with some of the, we're going to have leftover achiote oil, so you want to take some of the remainder of that and coat the leaf very well. Once that's coated, then you want to take some of your masa. I was just capturing her methods quickly as she was doing them, so what I could estimate was this was a third of masa and you spread it in an even layer. I meant to say 1/3 cup. She used 1/3 cup measurement of the masa and kind of evenly laid it out over the plantain. And once your masa is spread, then you can add the filling on top and then very carefully kind of push the sides of the masa up. And what she did was fold the banana leaf first to kind of get the form going, and then she took the aluminum foil, and she's going to show you here exactly how she folds it down into the little pouch. Here's just a sped up version of the process again. I kind of tried to show duplicates of each process that I thought would be worth watching more than once. So here's a sped up version of how she makes the empanada pouches. Once the pouches are all complete, we bake them in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes on one side, and then we flipped and baked for 30 minutes on the other side. I left it in for about an hour and 10 minutes, so they ended up being kind of crispy baked on the outside, and then it was soft and delicious on the inside. Here's what the empanada looks like finished. As you can see, like the golden kind of color around the top, that is like the crispy part. And I am the kind of person that will have this with ketchup. It's just the way I grew up eating empanadas and pasteles. Pasteles is another one in the future that I really want to make. But here is my finished plate. I usually do not do an outro, but I want to take this time to say thank you so much for following and subscribing and checking out my videos. And I hope to keep learning the videoing process and creating content and giving awesome recipes. This is a naturally gluten-free recipe, and it is a kind of a special dish that I grew up having, and I am very excited to share with you. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for checking out the video. Bye guys, much love.